In today's video, we're going to be talking football predictions, and it's the first episode of the new monthly series where I predict the Premier League table. I know what you're thinking, how is this a monthly series? Well, every single month I will update the predicted table based on transfers, injuries, form, all the way throughout the season until the last month. And then at the end of the season, we can come back to this video right here and see how much our predictions changed as the season went on. But before we get into today's video, if you guys are new here, make sure to hit subscribe, hit like, turn on notifications because we are uploading football content every single day. And if you guys want a chance to be involved in future content, make sure to follow my X and my TikTok. Both of them are LL FIFA 63. I'm always asking you guys for hot takes, everything like that, like predictions for Euros at the minute, everything like that, and they appear in future videos. So if you do want to get involved in the channel, go follow my X, my TikTok, LL FIFA 63, and you will appear in future videos. It's as simple as that. But let's get back to the video, no more sellout. So as you can see here, we've got the tier list with every single position in the Premier League. And obviously, for example, second to fourth, the team furthest left is who I'm predicting second, and then third, then fourth, and so on, so forth. You know the deal. So the first team to go is alphabetical order, and the first team is AFC Bournemouth. Now, they're an interesting team. They've overperformed massively the last couple of seasons, especially with people's expectations. I quite like Bournemouth. They're an exciting team to watch play football. They've got, you know, a lot of young players. They're quite a small club, but they're really entertaining to watch. And I think they're going to be safe again, but I think they're going to be towards the lower end of the 11th to 14th. It's more likely going to be a 13th, 14th, maybe a little bit of a drop-off from this season, but that's purely because I think other teams are going to get so much better, so they may struggle to get quite as many results. And now, I'm moving on to a big team. It's Arsenal. If you're an Arsenal fan right now, you might be triggered because you're not going in the top one. You're going in the second to fourth. If you want to find out where I think they're finishing, make sure to watch the end of the video because I don't want to spoil for the other teams. So just for now, the second to fourth, I'm going to keep it a secret of what the order is because it might be a bit controversial. Their next team is Aston Villa, and I think they're going to finish 6th place. I think that's fair enough. They had 4th this season, but we got to remember teams like Chelsea, United, even Newcastle, Tottenham, all, to be honest, ended up underperforming a bit. And the chances are that won't happen again. So I think about a 6th place with how strong their squad is. And they're probably not going to lose too many players. So I think 6th place should be a good finish for Villa. It keeps them in a European spot. Welcome to my first controversial take of the video. Because we have Brentford. And I'm putting Brentford to go down. And I think this is purely because Tony's going to go. I think they may lose Mbeumo. And for that reason, I've got to put them to go down. But remember, this is still very early predictions. And most of the reason I put them in relegation is because I think they're going to lose a lot of their players without replacing them, basically, with quite as much talent. Because I think Mbeumo and Tony might both go on relatively cheap deals for how important they are for Brentford. And they may struggle to, you know, replace them properly. And another difficult team to predict is actually Brighton. Obviously, they don't have De Zerbi anymore. They had a bit of a struggle in the second half of the season. And for that reason, I'm probably going to go with 11th to 14th. But with Bournemouth taking up the 14th spot, we're going to shove Brighton in at 12th. I think that's very fair for Brighton. We're still a bit unsure how they're going to look next season. It's a bit of an uncertain one with Brighton. The window's definitely going to say a lot. Are they going to make some more sensible signings like we used to? All of that is going to have to wait and see because these are so early. Obviously, it's still so difficult. But next month, we'll come back, revisit this, and see how much we're actually going to end up changing. We have Chelsea. And this is an interesting one again. Obviously, sacked Pochettino after actually finishing 6th and taken on the Leicester boss, who does play a 3-back. So I think that might benefit Chelsea. But at the same time, it is Chelsea. And I think they may have an underwhelming season again. And we gave Villa the 6th. And we're giving Chelsea 7th. That is, I know, it's a controversial one. Everyone's thinking Chelsea are going to push on and get a top 5 finish for sure. But I think they may just struggle again. And hear me out now. Depending on, obviously, any business they do, I would not be shocked if Chelsea have a couple managers throughout the season. It's a typical Chelsea thing to do. Give someone 5 years on a contract and not even let them see it out till the end of the first season. It's very typical Chelsea, and for that reason, I'm predicting a 7th place. Now we have Crystal Palace. They ended the season absolutely fantastically. One of the most informed teams in the entire league. and they're very exciting. And if they can push on from that, they could be a real threat for the high mid-table, push into European spots. But again, is that form going to stay for the entire season? I mean, it's unlikely, but we're still yet to see who they're keeping hold of. And that's the issue with Crystal Palace. It's so hard to predict because you don't know who they're going to keep, who they're going to sell. If they can keep Eze, Mateta and Elise, then they could really be in for a very exciting season. Obviously, still got likes of Gahey, Anderson, and their team will be looking very good. I like the DM Takore as well, and they bring in a few players that they could climb the table. But the issue is, it's also very likely that Elise goes, maybe Eze stays, but then again, I could not picture clubs turning down Eze if he's offered to them. So it's a tough one. I'm going to go currently. I know obviously for Brentford I've predicted people to go and that's why they're in relegation. But because Crystal Palace ended the season so well, I'm going to predict they only lose maybe Elise. And for that reason, I'm going to give them a 10th place finish. I think that's fair enough. Make sure to obviously let me know down what you think. Now we have Everton. Another tough one to call. Obviously, they ended up being safe quite early on with a good few games left to go. But when you take away the point deductions, they actually had a very good season. But the issue is their squad is really lacking depth in certain positions. They could really do with some wingers. At the minute, they've got Jack Harrison and McNeil on the wings. But Jack Harrison spent a lot of the season out injured. And McNeil is good, but he is the only current winger. And they had Ashley Young playing right mid a lot of the season. It's not ideal at all. And also Calvert-Lewin had an awful season. So it depends whether they can bring in a good striker, a good winger with limited funds. Might have to be some loanees. But I think Everton might about finish 13th. But I think they're going to keep Branthwaite. I think they're going to keep Onana because both of those players will want to develop for another season, maybe even two. We'll see how the next one goes. And with those players, I think with no deductions as well, this is obviously we can't call point deductions before they happen. But with no deductions, I think we're looking at an Everton coming in 13th place, just between Brighton and Bournemouth. Now Southampton, not much to say. I'm going to have to shove them in relegation. They are one of the two that I am pretty certain will go back down. I just don't think their squad is quite Premier League ready yet. I think they have a lot of Championship level players, and that's why in the Championship they really performed well. But I'm not sure if they have enough to then stay up again in the Premier League. But I'd love to be proven wrong. Southampton's a good team in the Premier League. It's always exciting watching them. They have so many exciting games, whether they're getting thrashed or not. Either way, it's adding entertainment to the league. Now, it's Fulham's turn. And this one's really, really difficult. It's one of the teams I've struggled with the most because I'm not sure who they're going to be keeping hold of. Are they going to keep Palhinha, who's obviously a key player for them? I was about to say us. I don't support Fulham. But Palhinha's a key player for them. Their defence is getting torn apart slightly, but I do like their team still. They've got a very good squad, but I think they might have a bit of a struggling season. But I think they're going in 15th for now. Okay, and now this one, I'm sorry, Ipswich. I mean, it's going to take a lot of business. A lot of business and maybe even a miracle. And you can clip this up and send it to me at the end of the season when you end up finishing 10th. That's fine. But I can't put Ipswich anywhere other than relegation. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. Leicester is a really, really difficult one to decide again because a lot of people think they're going to be really, really good in mid-table-ish, and it's tough to tell. They've got a very good squad, potentially one of the best the Championship's ever seen. They obviously did fall off towards the end of last season and have now got to find a new manager. So it's complicated with Leicester, and obviously, again, all depends on the business they do. That's the same with every single team. You know what? I'm going to have a little reshuffle. We're going to move Fulham up to 14th and Leicester in to 15th. I think that's about fair. So now Brighton are 11th, Everton 12th, Bournemouth 13th, Fulham 14th, and we've got Leicester in at 15th. A little reshuffle. Liverpool is again tough to decide because we don't know how Arne Slot's going to play really with that Liverpool squad. We don't know who they're going to be signing yet. Are they going to keep players like Salah? It's an interesting squad, but I think they may struggle slightly. I'm not predicting a massive struggle, but I am predicting a 5th place. And I think that's fair enough. I think they might even take that for the first season under a new manager. It is tough with how high level the Premier League is at the minute to come in and instantly have an impact. and with how good a lot of the teams I'm expecting to be next season, I think coming into that top 4 might be a tough task. And if Arne Slot does it, then it's massive respect to him, because that's a really tough job at hand. Manchester United, I'm going to now tell you where I'm putting Arsenal as well. So I've got Arsenal where they are currently second, and I'm going to have Manchester United in 4th place. And this is simply because any time watching Manchester United this season, when they had the majority of their squad fit, they did look really exciting. And I think with a couple signings over the summer, as long as they're sensible, they could push on and get a 4th place finish. Obviously, they ended up getting Europa League through the cup, not through league position, with the right signings and players staying fit. I don't think it's that outrageous, but they're definitely a team that are going to move up and down massively in my predictions, depending on the business. Is going to be Tottenham Hotspur, and they are just filling in between Arsenal and United. I think a 3rd place finish would be absolutely fantastic for a second season for Ange. He was really exciting this year, but just like United, with a few good signings and a bit more time with the squad, I think Ange's team next year could be really exciting. And more based off the fact that Liverpool might have an off year. I don't think Chelsea are quite going to be a threat to the top 4 quite yet. But obviously all of this could change. But for now, I'm going to top 4 of City, Arsenal, Tottenham and Manchester United. What do you think of that? I think that's quite controversial. Let me know down below though. Next is Newcastle. And for me, we're going to have them in 8th. But it could very easily move if they lose a big player. If they lose the likes of Isak or Bruno Guimaraes, they might be slipping all the way down to somewhere down there. I'm not going to put it there, but with a few sales and not proper signings, they could be in trouble. But for now, with their current squad, I think an 8th place finish. Nottingham Forest next, and I think they are coming 17th, and it could be between them and Brentford to go down as of now. Obviously, Forest managed to stay up this season, but it does feel a bit like a ticking time bomb with them, and I don't blame anyone if they currently have them to go down. Wolves next, and I've got them to go in between Newcastle and Palace for a nice 9th place finish. You've got to love the gaffer, you've got to love the squad, it's entertaining, and they probably would have ended up finishing not too far off here if they didn't have so many injuries towards the back end of last season. Some of the players they ended up having to play weren't really ready for the Premier League, if we're being honest. But with a window, if they do some good business, it could be entertaining. I like a lot of their players, and I feel like they're just going to be a good squad. Not necessarily loads and loads of stars, but just a very good squad that's going to be really difficult to beat. And finally is West Ham, and I'm actually going to move Leicester to 16th. I think I might have said them to 15th. And I'm going to put West Ham in at 15th place. I know it might sound a bit harsh. West Ham's had an amazing season, but this is kind of similar to Brentford, where I'm predicting they could potentially lose Paqueta. They might keep hold of Kudus for now, but with a new manager, it's all a bit up in the air, but it's a tough one to predict. And I feel really harsh for West Ham actually. Now I've looked at it, I do want to move them up, but I've put them there, so I will keep them there for now. Those are my final Premier League predictions for the month of June. We'll come back in July, August, September, November, December, all of that until the end of the season, and see how much it changes month by month. But those are the predictions. If you have enjoyed this video and you've made it this far, thank you so much. Make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, let me know what you think of it. Call it horrendous if you need to, but let me know what you would change. If you could change one of these teams, swap them round, what would you do? But if you have enjoyed watching, thanks, and until next time, goodbye.